Okay, so let's get you started on cool cylinders. If we look at the directions for the top section, it says find the volume of each cylinder below. Leave your answer in terms of pi. This is very important when it asks to leave it in terms of pi. That means you need to have the pi symbol in your answer. So let's look at number 1. First thing we want to do, if the shape was not there, I would advise you to draw the shape, but since it's there, we're going to go ahead and identify the base and the height. So we look at a cylinder, the base is our circular base right here. There's our base. And our height is the distance between the two bases. So our height is 5 centimeters. And we know it's between the two bases. You can see the top base. The bottom base, you just kind of have to imagine it's underneath and it's sitting on its base. All right, so the first step we're going to do is we're going to write the formula. Volume equals big BH. We're going to come down now, we're going to break down that formula because big B stands for area of the base. Well, if my base is a circle, I need to know how do I find area of a circle. If you did not know, area of a circle is also on your formula chart. Same with our volume formula. So big B, area of the base, area of a circle, is pi r squared, and then we're going to multiply that by the height. Now we're ready to substitute in for our answers. For our information. So we're still looking for volume. We're going to keep pi because we want our answer in terms of pi. We're going to substitute in for radius squared, so we're going to say 6 squared because 6 is our radius. And then our height, we said, was our 5 centimeters right here. All right, now what you're going to do when we solve these, you're always going to solve the numbers first. You're always going to leave pi for the very end. So we have to first just do this information in our calculator. So 6 squared is 36 times 5 is 180. So I have 180 times pi. But remember, it said leave my answer in terms of pi. So there's my answer. I got to keep the pi symbol. And then we just write our units, centimeters cubed. Our answer is in cubic units. Volume is always in cubic. Area is in square units. So 180 pi cubic centimeters or centimeters cubed. Okay, with that example, you can finish out 2 and 3. Now let's go to number 4. Now number 4 is the same thing. Find the approximate volume of each cylinder below. However, this time, round your answer to the nearest hundredth. The nearest hundredth is 2 decimal places. Remember, it's 2 decimal places. Again, we have our shape, so the first thing I want to do is identify my base and my height. My base is the circular part. My height is the the side between the two bases. And again, you could kind of imagine a base on the other side that we can't see. All right, so let's do our formula, break it down, substitute and solve. Formula for volume of a cylinder, big B times H. If you don't remember that, where could we find it? We could find it on our formula chart. Very good. All right, well, big B, area of the base, we got to figure out what formula do I need to find area of this circular base. Area of a circle, again, you could verify with your formula chart, is pi r squared. And then we're going to multiply it by the height. All right, we're ready to substitute in. Volume equals pi times my radius squared. So my radius is 5. So 5 squared times my height, which we said earlier was 7. Again, we're going to solve the numbers first. We're going to save pi for the end. So volume equals 5 squared is 25. 25 times 7 is 175 times pi. Now, did my answer say leave it in terms of pi? If it did, we would be done. But no, remember it says to the nearest hundredth. So now we're going to use our calculator so that way we could use the pi symbol. All right, so I have my calculator. So I'm going to punch in 175. I think I have to tilt it so you guys could see it. 175 times, and then I'm going to use the pi button. We're no longer going to just type in 3.14. We're always going to use the pi button because this will calculate it to more spaces of pi. It'll calculate it more decimal places so it's more accurate. So I push the button, it's right next to the H. When you do that, you see this little pop-up screen. That very first one that's highlighted, that is your pi, so you can hit enter, and then you should see that pi symbol come up in your screen. Hit enter, and we want it rounded to 2 decimal places. So volume is approximately 549.78, and it's centimeters, so it's centimeters cubed, or cubic centimeters. So my final answer would be right here, calculated out with pi. Okay, so that could finish out 5 and 6. But now look at number 7. I know a lot of you are going to have questions on this one. They gave you the volume. They're looking for the height. You're going to still start out with the same way, formula. And we're still going to break it down. Volume equals pi r squared times height. But because my volume is 35 pi, now I can substitute that in right here for volume. 375 pi, I think I said 35. 375 pi is equal to pi, substitute in your radius squared times your height, and then solve for h. So my radius squared, my radius was 5 squared. So now when we solve this, I would have 375 pi is equal to, well, what's 5 squared? 25, right? But we're going to keep pi in it because pi is on this side. So we say 25 pi times height. So now think back to equations. How do I solve for h? Who do I need to get rid of? I need to get rid of all of this, 25 pi. And because it's multiplied, the opposite would be to divide both sides by 25 pi. My pi's would cancel out. I could do my division, and that will tell me that h is some answer. Okay? So remember, just because you're missing a side, we don't do anything different. We still substitute in what we can, solve for the variable we don't know. Here it was height. Up here, we didn't know the volume, so we were solving for volume all the way down. All right, you've got a couple of examples now. You can finish out the rest of this assignment. There's a front and there's also a back side as well. Remember, if there's no pictures, draw one for yourself so you can identify your height and your base.